Hello and welcome back to the channel. I am Coach Chris McMahon. I'm so happy to have you here. Today we are going to talk about on how you can easily cut back on snacking. And this is another episode of Easy Wins for Fat Loss. Now, the important thing to know here is snacking in and of itself is not a bad thing. It doesn't really matter how many meals you're eating per day, how many snacks you're eating per day, so long as you are in a calorie deficit while you are trying to lose fat. But snacking on highly palatable things throughout the day makes it that much easier for you to overindulge and go over on your calories. So here's a way that I like to help people make it easier to stick to their deficit, still enjoy the foods they love, and make sure that they are including snacks. Number one is, if you're snacking all the time, chances are it's because you're not eating meals throughout the day. You might be unintentionally skipping meals, or maybe you're fasting, and it just so happens that by the end of the day you're so hungry because you haven't been having regular meals, it's easier for you to overdo it on the snacks. So one of the best things you can actually do is make sure you're having at least 3 balanced meals throughout the day. 3 balanced meals are going to be a great way to include proper protein, carbs, fat, fiber to help keep you full throughout the day and therefore not need to snack as much throughout the day. 3 balanced meals spaced out about 4 to 6 hours is a nice way to be. Now, if you know it's going to be longer than 4 to 6 hours until your next meal, you can preemptively eat something even if you aren't hungry. What I mean by this is thinking ahead to be like, all right, I know it's going to be about 7 hours before I have dinner. I'm usually really hungry by the time I get home, and then I overdo it at that meal. I overdo it with snacks after the meal. So what you can do is implement something like a deliberate snack. Deliberate snacks are deliberate. They're not random. They're planned. You know exactly what they're going to be, and they're going to help you stay full between those meals. Now, examples of deliberate snacks are taking protein and mixing it with fiber. A protein and fiber-based snack is going to help keep you full longer because fiber is slower digesting, protein takes a little bit longer to digest, and those two things combined make it easier for you to stay full for longer. So a great example would be like a protein shake and a piece of fruit, or Greek yogurt and some fruit. Notice common trends here. Maybe you get something like a Chomps beef jerky stick and you have that with some fruit, or maybe you get some rolled up deli meat and you have that with some nuts, right? There are these different ways you can go about this, but you just have to plan it out and track it. I think what messes it up for a lot of people is that you don't actually track it and you pretend it didn't happen. If you're tracking and pre-logging what those snacks are going to be, what your meals are going to be, it's going to be that much easier for you to stick with your plan. When we don't track, or when we don't have it planned, and when we don't make it deliberate, that's when it becomes easier for things to snowball, and it becomes that much harder for you to actually get where you want to go. Now, one day where you overdo it on snacks isn't going to do anything, but it's when it's a consistent pattern. So let's say you implement, you're eating 3 balanced meals, you're eating at least 1 to 2 deliberate snacks throughout the day, you have everything planned, but you're still having a hard time because you feel like you're hungry all the time. Well, then it's a different conversation because it's not actually hunger, right? Hunger can be 3 things. Hunger can be a hollow feeling in your stomach. It's only going to increase over time, and it's for a meal. It's not for a snack or a treat. But cravings could be what you're having. A craving is a feeling that you feel somewhere else in your body that has nothing to do with a hollow feeling in your stomach. It will increase and decrease over time. And the final one is that it's for a specific treat. Now, that's not a bad thing necessarily. Like, you can include all sorts of foods in what you're doing, but if you're not used to those feelings or recognizing that they're different from hunger, you're going to be more likely to overdo it. So what you can do is actually give yourself a second, like 10 to 15 minutes before reacting and having a snack. And in that time, you can ask yourself, well, does it check off those boxes? Is it a hollow feeling in my stomach? Is it increasing over time? Am I hungry for like actual food, like an apple or some tacos? Or am I just craving like a piece of cake or some candy or some sort of other sweet like cookies, right? And when you have that sort of thing, you're able to recognize your next step is really important. And it's not to stare at the thing that you're thinking about or that you're craving. No, your job is to go and do something else. Go and get involved in what's going on. Not to ignore the craving, but to actually exist with the feelings that you might be having, the boredom you're having, the exhaustion you're having. If you can exist with them, then you're going to give yourself enough time so you can ride the wave or the urge wave until it falls down and dissipates. That's the whole secret here. You have to be able to exist with that feeling long enough to allow it to pass. If you're not existing with that feeling, you're going to find it to be so much harder to actually follow through on the thing that's most important for you. So that's it for this week's episode of Easy Wins. Let me know if you have any questions by commenting below. Make sure you turn notifications on, you're subscribed to the channel, and you give a thumbs up if you found this helpful. Without any other further ado, remember, you're one day away from getting back on track and one day away from realizing how fucking amazing you are.